So 2 questions. When the yard starts, do you guys, one, you touched on it a little bit. Were you guys collectively, the 3 of you, were you nervous that it was going to be besides Ludwig?
Oh,
were you guys nervous that it was going to be the Ludwig podcast? Like, was that ever a thought, or did you guys know that you guys were talented enough to like make it its own?
Both are true.
Yeah.
I think that Ludwig is I think like one of Ludwig's like biggest strengths, I think, is he's an amazing performer. Like he is like, I think the best of all 4 of us by far. Not even close, actually. It's not like a ranking. It's like he is the best of the 4 of us at like, you put him on stage and you say, be entertaining. And he goes, and he's entertaining, and everyone loves him. And I've never really heard behind the scenes like bad shit about him or anyone not liking him. Like he's very entertaining, he's very forward, he's very honest, and he's very good under a spotlight. And that's I think what he's always wanted to do. Like even in college, he was doing improv. Mm-hmm. I think he's always wanted to like be in a spotlight, and I think he's really good there. And I think that for us, so I say that because the follow up is when Ludwig's like a lot of times in the early days when Ludwig's like making jokes on stream, making big audiences that people laugh. It's stuff that like our friend group. Right. It's like a joke in our friend group that he's like taking to his stream, and then like the world is laughing at it. And we always kind of felt like our sense of humor is all kind of one. We all spend so much time together. We've lived with each other for so many years now. Like we have this like sort of chemistry and this relationship and this sense of humor and these like inside, outside jokes that we believe that like we could take to a product like a podcast. And we've always like looked at it as like podcasting is like the easiest thing anyone can do. Like it is people, if anyone tries to convince you that like a podcast is hard work, it just isn't. At least for the actual talking of it.
On the surface, it's like
not hard. The easiest thing ever is to buy a microphone and talk about yourself.
And
it's like holy,
yeah.
So we had like a lot of guilt going into the show of like, why us? Like, why are we so important that people should want to listen to us? And so we really thought about like what makes this show special. How do we make it entertaining? How do we like bring something to it? And I think like that's the one thing that has like one of the things that has never ever changed with the show is every single week we show up and we're like, what is going to make the episode good and funny? What is like, we will say no to famous guests if we don't think they're going to be like, we don't care as much about like what they're going to bring. And there's been outlier examples of like some people were like, well, we got to have them on. But generally it's like, we have to believe at some level there's going to be comedy that emerges from that.
Yeah.
It's not, we hate doing interviews. We hate doing like, tell us things you've told other people, but for us, though, we get the views.
Right. Exactly. Well, I mean,
I don't do interviews a lot.
Okay.
You're safe.
I was like,
I don't know about everyone else.
Like, that's not.
I don't know about everyone else.
I'm asking Mango, like, why Falco?
Mango. So there's 0 in the name. It's interesting.
I actually didn't ask that. That's a good question.
So I think for us, like, we were always very confident that like the show would be good. That's actually one of the only things we didn't really question. We're like, the show will be good. We know the show will be good, but how do we convince people to actually watch it?
Yeah.
But we did have the fear that Ludwig would overshadow, like, we really did not want it to be Ludwig and the Boys, like the band, basically. What? Why is he looking at me and laughing?
Because Blake likes to call TST Hitch and the Boys sometimes.
No.
I didn't say it. Blake said it. Yeah.
It's a thing.
I didn't say it.
It's tough. It's tough to feel that way.
That's so fun. I can't believe Blake's here for that.
I think it was never like a problem or anything. It was never like a thing that like kept me up at night. But I think what we were always really confident about is like that will change. Like we always knew like that will just change with time.
Yeah.
And we can't just be mad about that when Ludwig was an enormous spring launch pad for us. Like him having such a huge audience of people who like liked his stuff. That's the only reason the Yard was able to immediately start with viewership. So, but it was on us to. Ludwig's philosophy with the Yard has always been like past the fact that a surprising amount does really give a shit about every episode. Yeah. Looks at how they're performing, looks at the thumbnails, like talks to me about stuff we could do better. But his thing has always been, I'm executive producer. Here's money. You guys need to make this thing float. Like you guys need to push this thing forward. And I've always felt like I'm really appreciative for sort of the opportunities that like he's afforded us and like what his sort of success has like how that's like spilled into our world and stuff. But I think like Ludwig's kind of a lucky guy in the sense that all of his best friends are working professionals in media who happen to do things that he needs. We're not like friends who like, I became the video guy because I knew the most about. It's like I was a director already. Like
right.
And he was like, come direct for me, and I'm like, okay. So I think the Yard was just like, we've got a creative, a writer, we have a director, we have a event organizer, and we have like a fucking star talent. Like how could this not be a great combination of people? And I was always confident that like despite the things that are somewhat annoying about it feeling like people are gonna receive it as Ludwig and the Boys, ultimately I knew the product was good, or at least that I liked it. Like I knew like when I would listen to an episode, I'm laughing. Like I'm laughing at like our stuff. And I think that like with the Yard, my philosophy was kind of always just like make something that all of my best friends would want to listen to and laugh at, and other people will like it. Like I think I have like somewhat like specific and like good taste. If I like it, people will like it. I try not to think too much about like what is a big audience gonna like.
Right.
Because I think it makes something that I don't care about. Like it contributes to something that I just don't really care about.
You guys have hit. I mean, you guys have a really. I think that's a fun part about listening to your podcast is it does feel like the lunch table. Like it feels like you're
the little glass table in the backyard.
It feels like you're just chilling, listening to people, which is the ultimate goal of what you guys are probably going for. But I also have another question: is how parasocial does that get?
Very, very.
Because I found myself even, and I've been working in this industry for a long time. And there were times where like, I'm just driving because I have like an hour commute back and forth. So I have, a rotation of podcasts. You guys are on there. And there'll be times where I'm like laughing and shit. And I'm like, holy shit, I don't know these guys like at all.
Yeah.
But like, it feels like I do. And so I can only imagine having, dealing with the stuff that we deal with here at Optic, like going to events and stuff, and people come up and some people are a little too friendly. And, we don't even do content that's almost as that like intimate as you guys do. Like we do like, we do like bits and stuff and like podcasts where we talk about esports or we do stuff like different like productions, but you guys just sit and chat.